A quick thank you for trusting me to be your co-pilot. I really appreciate it. And thank you.
Tuesday, Laura Dern and her mother, Diane Ladd. Plus, Miranda Lambert. And Spring Has Sprung Week continues.
Where should I walk? Right here? Is this good?
Yeah, you can walk right there. This is your show. Do whatever you want.
You walk in.
Oh, the power.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on WDAY, WDAZ.
Somebody has to stand up for victims.
Detective Stabler, my partner, Detective Benson.
It took a lot of courage to get up on that stand.
He's not gonna ever be able to hurt you again.
I promise you.
I'll protect you.
Weekdays at 12 p.m. You're watching WDAY Extra. Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom? No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the first day of the rest of our lives edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com. A beautiful Tuesday morning. It's made even more special for reasons that are obvious to those that watch our show every day. Birds are chirping. The sun is out. It's there's a different vibe over everything today for obvious reasons. Again, which we'll get to in a second. It's coincidental that our main executive producer is quote unquote off today. The Packer fan that runs our show is not here. Not sure if that's coincidental or not of what happened yesterday, but there will be sunnier days ahead, I'm sure. And it is for Viking fans, Lions fans, Bears fans, it has to be the most unique and odd day imaginable. For the first time in 18 years, Aaron Rodgers isn't in the NFC North anymore. For the first time in 30 years, the Packers don't have either Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers on their roster, which is just beyond crazy. And for the second time in 15 years, the New York Jets have what the Packers didn't want anymore. That also is beyond bizarre. So we will get to that in full here on our show this morning of the trade that finally went down after a month and 10 days of endless speculation and rumor and innuendo, easy for me to say. It is finally over and done with. So we can all move on in our different ways, and we will do that this morning. A lot to get to. Our usual Tuesday lineup of guests all blew me off today. One on vacation, other one golfing. You take your pick on who's doing what. We'll roll with it. We're still going to have a fun show today in anticipation, of course, of Thursday's draft. And a fun day we'll have on tap for us here, including a look at the other FCS guys that are going to get drafted. We'll see how many. We know for the Bison what we're aiming at there for this weekend, but there's a bunch of other guys that very well could be picked, some that you know, some that you do not. And we'll dive into that coming up later on in our show this morning. And also is in anticipation of what's to come later on in the week. We're going to be down checking in at Hankinson this morning as well, a couple days out from the draft and what the amp up is like. You remember I was there in November when they had Cody Mauch Day. Now here it is. It's real. It's the week of the draft. We're 2 days out from the draft. And really interested to see what the vibe is down in southeastern North Dakota and see now if there's actually a true rivalry with Hankinson and Oaks to battle out here for supremacy. Oaks has got the lead. Phil Anson was a second-round draft pick by the Buffalo Bills and went on to play in 3 Super Bowls. If Cody ends up being in the second round, then Hankinson's got some legs to stand on. So that's coming up. We'll discuss that later on in the show this morning. Let's start, though, with those Minnesota Twins facing the Yankees last night, opening up a 3-game set at Target Field. And once again, starting pitching is the name of the game for this team because Sonny Gray was awesome last night. If you decided to not watch or not get too invested because they're playing the Yankees and you know how that normally goes, well, you missed out on something special last night because Gray was great. He had his curveball working. He was in the zone for a majority of this game. Another nasty pitch there on the outside corner. He was all over the strike zone last night in a way that the Yankees could not touch him in this game. A Yankee lineup that still, has its boppers in it. They may not be humming. There, a strikeout of Aaron Judge. That was a fantastic way to get out of the thing. Into the 7th inning, he was still pitching. Yes, folks, we have Twin starters that go deep into games. Got an out there in the 7th inning. Nasty pitch. 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts last night, and more importantly, no runs allowed against the Yankees, and gave the Twins a heck of a chance to win the ball game last night. He was fantastic through 107 pitches. Then the offense picked him up. With this guy back, the Twins are longer in the lineup, and Polanco has contributed ever since he came back on Friday. All he's done, he's got hits. Here with a 2-run single to right to score Christian Vasquez and Michael A. Taylor to give him a 2-zip lead. It was a 3-0 game when Joey Gallo against his former team. Why can't the Yankees find players like him with an absolute bomb to right? 432 feet makes it 4-rip. Polanco here in the 6th. Opposite field hitting. That's not the great outfielding. Dom Izzo's school of outfielding there from Oswald Cabrera to score another run. Kepler came around, made it 5-zip. Then Carlos Correa comes through. Opposite field triple. Opposite field hitting, folks. It can happen. After years of this, we didn't think it could happen. When finally they banned the shift and teams go the opposite way. Correa with an RBI triple, and the Twins go on, and they get the 6-1 win over the Yankees and take the opening game of this 3-game set, win their 2nd straight game. Gray was the story. As you saw, 7 innings and allowing 3 hits, no runs, and strikes out 8. Kepler saw the bat come alive last night with 3 hits and scored 3 times. That's what you need out of your leadoff hitter. As the Twins win a 2nd in a row, Jax goes an inning, and Giovanni Moran went the 9th inning as the Minnesota Twins take the opening game of this 3-game set. And as you see in the standings now, with a 2-game lead and nobody above 500 in this super powerful AL Central, it's I mean, look at the Royals and White Sox. White Sox are bad. I thought Chicago would be okay. They have bottomed out already to start the season. The fact the Tigers are in 3rd, and we know Detroit is not actively trying to win, makes this division, again, you're the Twins, you win, what are we thinking now? 87, 88 games, you're going to win the division. Here's the downer now with the way the schedule works is you don't play as often in your own division anymore. The Twins could really rack up some wins against teams like Chicago, Detroit, and Kansas City. But with the schedule now that you play everybody, the opportunities there are less. But I'll just say this. Starting pitching-wise has been phenomenal. And once again, last night, what you saw what Gray did, that should get everybody excited about what they have. That was really, really good last night. And continues a trend that has started since the season began. And I'll say for Gray, you heard Dick Bramer mentioned it on the broadcast last night. In his 29 innings of work this entire season, he's allowed 2 runs. 2. 29 innings he's pitched. He's allowed 2 runs, one against the Red Sox and one against the Astros in his second start. And that start, he had 13 strikeouts there. 34 strikeouts in 29 innings, which is not really known for to be a main strikeout guy, but ERA is .62 so far to start this season. So impressive there to start off for Gray and the Twins, who get the opening game of this set. Second game of the series will come up tonight. Again, it's the playoff programming predicament for Twins fans. This is the matchup with Joe Ryan, who's been the ace so far, and you look at what he's done. 4-0 mark, ERA of just over 3, against Nestor Cortez, the all-star from last year, the left-hander, who's also coming in with a good mark, 3-0 at a 3.09 earned run average. That's the matchup tonight for Game 2 at Target Field. They'll play a matinee tomorrow to wrap up the set there. So good win for the Twins last night. Okay, we talked about it off the top. Let's get to it now. We'll rip the Band-Aid off because we're not going to go anywhere on this topic, I don't think, for a little bit. As it became official yesterday, ESPN breaking the story at about 3:15 that the New York Jets and the Green Bay Packers have come to an agreement on a trade to send Aaron Rodgers to the Jets in exchange for a handful of picks. Some maybe more than I'm willing to give up as a Jet fan. But it is now done. The Jets send the Packers their first-round pick, which is the 13th overall selection in this year's draft, a second-round pick, which is what they got in the Elijah Moore deal, the 42nd overall selection, a sixth-round pick in this year's draft, and here's the part, this is the one that I'm not a fan of, a conditional 2024 second-round pick that will become a first-round pick if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays this season. The Jets get the Packers' first-round pick, which is the 15th overall, and they get a fifth-rounder. But New York has its quarterback, and the Packers can finally move on from this saga that started almost 2 years ago to the day when the story came out right before the 2021 NFL draft that Rodgers was dissatisfied with what the Packers had done around him. The drafting of Jordan Love certainly had not gone over well. And now this has finally come to a head. Here's the deal on this. As a Jet fan, as I sit here this morning, and I think you guys know where I'm at with the guy himself. I'm not a fan of him as a human. Too mercurial for me. Not a fan of what he's said in the past about different medical takes, certainly during the height of COVID. It's interesting, by the way, the team he's going to go play for, that the owner of the team is one of the leading pharmaceutical companies in the country that has pushed out different COVID vaccines. Woody Johnson of Johnson & Johnson owns the New York Jets, which finds it even crazier that Woody Johnson was the guy behind this, that he took his plane to California to get A-Rod on board, because as Rodgers said on the McAfee show last month that he was, 90 to 95% retired before he went into the darkness. So, personal feelings aside on that, which will be difficult for me until they start winning games. Because, and I saw a couple of stories written about this, that the Jet fans haven't had it as bad as they would lead you to believe. What are you talking about? This is a franchise that hasn't had a star quarterback since Joe Namath. That was 50 years ago, 60 years ago almost now. It's 1969 when they won the Super Bowl, okay? So we're talking now 2 full generations. I was born in 1979, all right? I have seen the Jets play a handful of playoff games, 5 to 6 tops. And yes, and the 2 of them came back-to-back years when they made it to the AFC Championship game. and a step away from the Super Bowl with Mark Sanchez as their quarterback in 2009 and 2010. Haven't made the playoffs since. Longest playoff drought in all of professional sports belongs to the New York Football Jets. That's why this guy was brought in. And as we did this each and every Monday throughout the football season when the Jets were winning this past year with a team that plays unbelievable defense, has some studs at different spots, Garrett Wilson being one. They get Breece Hall back. That's another. They have Sauce Gardner. They knocked it out of the park with their draft last year. They had the the NFL Offensive and Defensive Rookies of the Year. They feel, I don't know if I agree with them, that they are a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. And I want to outline this when we come back in our second segment here, a little bit more about the challenge that awaits them there. But if they had any sort of quarterback play last year, they win 11 games and they're a playoff team. Instead, they had basically a swinging tire back there between Zach Wilson and Mike White and couldn't do anything. You Viking fans will remember what happened in that game. If the Jets had any sort of quarterback play, the Jets win that game in Minneapolis. And they win a handful of others. Now, on the Packers side of this, they are finally ready to jump both feet in with Jordan Love, their first-round pick of the 2020 draft, who sat for the same amount of years that Aaron Rodgers did before he took over when Brett Favre was traded to the Jets in 2008, which makes this all the more weird. And a full changing of the guard there. It'll be really intriguing to see what the Packers now have moved up 2 spots in the NFL draft. Now they'll select with the 13th pick because they have the Jets pick there. I'm intrigued to see what it means for our guy Christian Watson, who certainly heated up in the second half of 2022 with Rodgers throwing in the ball, how this changes their outlook. And for the NFC North as a whole, is it finally the time for the Detroit Lions? I know Viking fans are going to say, well, what are you talking about? Minnesota won 13 games last year. I don't think the Vikings are going to live as charmed a life as they did in 2023. I don't. And when you see what the Lions have built and have back, understood they have the suspension of Jamison Williams for 6 games for gambling that went down on Friday. The Lions still have some really, really neat pieces, and they have the 6th pick in the draft coming up on Thursday. The Bears are where they're at. Obviously, they traded out of the top spot and amassed some picks there from Carolina that they may not be a year away, but they're coming. It's a changing of the guard in the NFC North. And if you were to look, and we'll maybe dive into this so we have more time later in the show, of the quarterbacks that are now in the AFC and the quarterbacks in the NFC, holy cow. That's why I'm not totally sold this is going to send my favorite team to the promised land. We'll get back into that here in just a second. Fun show coming up for you today. Plenty of draft chatter as we close in on what's to come on Thursday. At 10 o'clock, we'll have our old friend Sam Herder back with us from Hero Sports. He'll join us in anticipation of the NFL draft. And Sam's been keeping an eye on the other FCS prospects, not just the guys from Fargo or Brookings that will get drafted this weekend, including a stud from Princeton that you'll want to meet. Yes, I said Princeton in the Ivy League, a wide receiver that could be picked as early as Friday. We'll discuss that with Sam coming up at 10 o'clock. At 10:35, Jason Monilaws will be with us, Hankinson head football coach, as the Pirates get ready for a big-time celebration. The whole city gets ready for a big-time celebration coming up in a couple of days. We'll check in with how things have gone leading up to this. I know he's talked to a handful of NFL teams as well. We'll visit with him coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on our show this morning. We'll take a break. Hot Mic is off and rolling. We're back after this on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com.
Get 11% off everything at Menards. Create your dream bathroom with Sterling tubs and showers that fit your style and budget. Like the Sterling Ensemble Tub and Shower. Its durable high-gloss finish provides lasting beauty. Get one for $639.99 after 11% off. Finish the renovation with new flooring. This stylish Palmero waterproof vinyl plank flooring is durable and easy to maintain. On sale for just 99 cents per square foot after 11% off at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
You took my father. Somebody's going to pay for this.
There's no story more surprising than a real-life Dateline mystery.
Probably a pretty ugly crime scene.
Follow every twist and turn 5 times a week.
The chase is on.
With Dateline.
Weekdays at 1 p.m.
In this job, you take your eye off it for 1 second. People can die.
Don't think, just do it.
I'm a firefighter, and I will always be a firefighter.
Did a great thing today.
It's all because of you.
Weekdays at 7 p.m. and 12:05 a.m.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in North Dakota. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the NDHSAA.
News happens at all hours of the day and night.
Stories develop and situations change in the blink of an eye.
In our community, knowing where you can turn at any time of the day
for clear information and facts
is more important today than at any other time.
That's why we start our day
in the middle of the night
to gather new information
and be ready to bring it to you.
Tracking what has changed overnight and how that will impact your day today.
We're here for you with the most up-to-date news and weather
to get you on your way,
because your community
is our community.
911, what is your emergency?
It takes a certain kind of person to run towards danger rather than run away from it.
Why is this job so important to you?
Growing up, I never saw any heroes who looked like me.
And that's what a hero looks like.
Help is on the way.
Sundays at 8 p.m.
Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go. You have made my life complete, and I love you so. Love me tender, love me dear, tell me you are mine. I'll be yours through all the years, till the end of time. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfilled. For my darling, I love you, and I always will.
All right, welcome back, everybody, on a busy Tuesday. Just found out we got an additional guest coming up on our show. I'm going to tease that before we go to break here. It'll be a good guest to decipher some good stuff from. That's coming up here in just a few minutes. All right. On this trade now, back on the Rodgers deal. This was brought up to me as well, and this is from someone way smarter than I am that has dealt with the NFL. Here's the part that I have issues with on the Jets side. The 2024 second converts to a first with 65% playtime only, no statistical conditions, no playoff conditions. Really? And I'm right there on that. Like, There's no. All he has to do is play 65%. We couldn't get a clause in there like if the Jets miss the playoffs, it stays as a second, or if he doesn't throw for 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, it stays as a second. Because honestly, the guy has probably been more durable than probably most believe. Now, granted, the thumb has bugged him last year. But now, if you look at this here, if the season started today, and I know it doesn't, listen to this. These are the quarterbacks in the AFC. In the AFC now, you have Patrick Mahomes. You have Josh Allen. You have Joe Burrow. Now you have Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert. Theoretically, you have Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, Deshaun Watson, my guy Trevor Lawrence, Russell Wilson's still there. That is the upper echelon of the AFC. They're all there. And how many? 4 of those guys aren't going to make the playoffs because there's only 7 that go. Now, compare this here to the NFC. This is the NFC starting quarterbacks now. Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, our guy Kirk, Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, because remember he's with the Saints, Matt Stafford, Geno Smith, Jared Goff, whoever the Commanders are going to trot out there, Justin Fields, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ridder, Andy Dalton. Holy cow. I mean, that's not even close. Not even close. What are we doing? We'll get back into that here in just a second. Real quick, because we didn't have the Wild or the Wolves playing last night, we'll go through quickly the scores from last night. On the NBA side, if you didn't stay up and watch the Grizzlies and the Lakers game, you missed out a dandy there. Lakers ended up beating Memphis last night in overtime. LeBron James goes for a double-double. 117, 111 the final. So now the Lakers are up 3-1 in that series. And the Heat get 56 from Jimmy Butler. One of the all-time great performances in the history of the NBA playoffs. 4th most points in a postseason game. And the number 1 seeded Bucks are on the ropes. Down 3-1 now after Miami won. And Giannis played last night. The Bucks built a 12-point lead and saw it all fritter away. They blew it. So Miami can go for the knockout coming up tomorrow night. Or Thursday night, excuse me. I believe that's when they get too many days off in this. Yeah, it's Wednesday night is when Game 5 is between Miami and Milwaukee. Meanwhile, the NHL last night, shout out to our guy, Will Borgen from Moorhead, Minnesota. You see the Kraken beat the Avalanche. We could show you he scored last night, the opening goal of that game for Seattle as they beat Colorado. I think we have it in the opening period of this game to give the Kraken a 1-zip lead and a great environment in Seattle last night. One-timer there. Not even 4 minutes into the game to give Seattle the lead, which they would go on and build actually a 2-zip lead on Colorado. So the Avalanche came back and tie this game. And what was a great hockey game last night. Environment was off the charts in Seattle. This is what the NHL was hoping would happen when they took their expanded the league to go to 32. Of course, the Avalanche are the defending champs and rallied and tied this game up there. That's a nifty wrist shot to tie the game up at 2. But the game would go to overtime, and they're calling penalties in overtime. Jordan Eberle gets a second whack at it and wins the game there. And Seattle beats Colorado 3-2 to even up the series now at 2 games apiece. So now it's a best of 3 series going back to Denver for Game 5, which comes up on Wednesday. And a dynamite series there. The Kraken have taken 2. The Western Conference, I'm telling you, is wide open in the NHL. You see the other scores from last night where the Rangers lost to the Devils. The road team has won every game in that series. The Knights beat Winnipeg to go up 3-1, and the Leafs rallied from a 4-1 deficit to beat, just crazy, to beat Toronto. Final score in that game was 5-4 in overtime as well. So now Toronto leads that series 3-1 there. The resumption of the series for our two teams begins tonight. The Wolves and the Nuggets will play. Here's the best part, folks. I've been railing on this for the better part of a week. Now you've got decent start times for everybody. The Wolves play tonight at 8 in Game 5 against Denver. Trying to keep their season going. And the Wild will play their game tonight at 7 against Dallas. So you actually have decent start times tonight. That's a 7 o'clock. We should change that. It's a 7 o'clock start tonight for the Stars and the Wild tonight. So finally, decent start times. We can see the end of these games coming up tonight in both the NBA and the Stanley Cup playoffs. So excited to see what that brings for our teams. The Wild in a 2-all series with Dallas, and of course the Wolves trying to get their season one more game. Kyle Anderson will not play tonight out after he took a finger in the eye from his own teammate, from Anthony Edwards, late in that game on Sunday. He's already been ruled out for the game tonight, which, great. And more guys that can't play for the Wolves against a Denver team that's going to be angry about how the game on Sunday night went. We'll take a break. We come back. An added guest to our show, the Hall of Famer who just decided to retire. Dan Smrekar will join us about stepping away from coaching after 45 years at Bismarck St. Mary's. He'll join us when we come back on Hot Mic right after this on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com.
On the next Cameron Hall, from comedy to music, they are the big-name talents known for being the top of their game. Now they reveal the new passions they say feed their soul. Yvette Nicole Brown talks about her new show that's so close to her heart. She said it was like the mothership calling her home. Then Grammy Award-winning country music superstar Miranda Lambert brings country to the kitchen with recipes that raised her. And The Office alum Rainn Wilson joins the TAM fam on the next Cameron Hall.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on WDAY WDAZ. When you need to stay informed, turn to the only name that matters, WDAY Storm Tracker.
The melt is on.
Cities are preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. Volunteers are hard at work. You can see people in the background there filling sandbags.
It is very important for people to get out and volunteer.
You can see the flooded ditches in the area.
Now, of course, we're keeping a very close eye on how this rain is going to impact flooding.
For full coverage, turn to the WDAY Storm Tracker team.
Saving money.
Happy Harry's Penny Sale is on now through May 17th, 2023. Sale starts April 20th, giving you 4 weeks to save on over 200 wines from around the world. And now, no pennies needed, just one low price on all selected wines. Visit our website and click on the Penny Sale logo to see the full list of wines on sale. We hope you enjoy this more relaxed format, giving you more time to shop.
Please use our products in moderation.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. The truth is, Parkinson's disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them. Worldwide, over 10 million people are living with Parkinson's, a neurological disease that affects movement. And with so many places to search for information, it can be difficult to know where to begin. The Parkinson's Foundation has answers. Answers for everyone in the fight. We can help you understand the disease, help you find expert care, give you tips for living a better life, share the latest research, help you find local support, and there's a free helpline you can call. Find your answers and join us in the fight against Parkinson's. To learn more, please go to parkinson.org or call 1-800-4PD-INFO. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
Hi, I'm Mark Knutson from the Essentia Health Fargo Marathon. So you say you're not a runner? That's not a problem. You can still be part of the Fargo Marathon, and I am personally inviting all of you to jump in. You love to ride bike? Then it's the Cyclothon bike ride for you. If you got a dog, get him or her registered for the Fargo Dog Runs. They get into the dome, get their own dog finisher medal. The Fargo Marathon has something for everyone. Check it out today and register at fargomarathon.com. That's fargomarathon.com.
Okay. Getting ready? We all have our routine. But of all the things you remember to bring with you, naloxone could be the most important. It can reverse an opioid overdose and save a life. If you or someone you know is at risk for opioid overdose, keep naloxone on you. For more information about naloxone, visit cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Welcome back, everybody, on a beautiful Tuesday morning. Hot Mic rolls on WDAY Extra, Inforum.com. Plenty of NFL draft chatter coming up in our second hour as we are stepping closer to that, with it set to begin on Thursday. Our mock draft show will be back on Thursday morning. Excited about that. We'll share some details of that show coming up tomorrow. We mentioned yesterday in our Best of the Weekend segment the news that came down early yesterday that one of the great all-time coaches in high school history in North Dakota has decided to hang it up. Bismarck St. Mary's Dan Smrekar, after 45 years, 8 state championships, 2022 was going to be his last high school football season on the sidelines, wearing the traditional shorts. I'm not sure if he's rocking the shorts today. We'll ask him as he joins us here on this Tuesday morning. It's great to see you. Congratulations. Has it sunk in? It's been... tell me what the last 24 hours has been like.
Reality is starting to sink in, yes. Been very hectic, very emotional, sometimes very happy emotions and sometimes very sad. But it's been, hectic, and I guess as I thought it probably would be. But the process is working, and we're going through it. But no, yesterday was hectic. It was some of it was a tough day. Some of it was a good day.
Was there a person or people you heard from you weren't expecting to yesterday that reached out when the news got out?
Oh, I'm not sure what I expected, Dom, but yeah, there was a lot of nice notes, but I think the most enjoyable part of it is I really received some notes from former players, and that was the most fun. And it always jogs the memory and brings back even more emotions. But I heard from countless former players, which was a real joy for me.
I got a bunch of messages yesterday thanking you because you got them started in coaching, and now they're coaching elsewhere. Describe that of mentoring guys and then them going on and they're coaching at other places now.
Well, over that, I guess, longer period of time, have had many assistants come through our program and come join our football program. And, and through that, coaches spend so much time together, becoming very good friends. But, it's always a joy. I think that I've had as many former assistant coaches that have moved on into administrative roles around the state. And so that relationship I've been able to keep. But, it's always fun to talk to kids that are former coaches and that have dabbled in coaching. But I think even more than that, which has really been enjoyable, and I think this is a testament to St. Mary's, is that, over the years, the majority of our football staff has been made up of former players, kids that played at St. Mary's. And boy, that's fun.
Tell me when you started thinking about this. When did it really hit that, okay, it's time to be done?
Well, I don't know. It's got to end sometime. I've been doing it a long time. I'm I'm pretty freaking old, but I don't know. I just as we got closer to the end of the school year in the last month, just thinking about some things and as I went through the early off season, I was going to be the head coach. We got into January, I was going to be the head coach. And I guess just in the last 3 to 4 weeks, I just started, wondering and thinking and putting some things together. And gradually the process made me come up with the decision that it was time. And we'll see if I made the right decision, right?
But I've always heard when it's, when it's time, like that, like you in the back of your mind, did you guys think, you know what, this is probably it?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that's what started me thinking as we got closer to the end of the school year, that, maybe it was. And then just start talking with my great friend and longtime assistant, Toby Schweitzer. He's been as big a part of St. Mary's football as anybody ever has. And, he's been with me for 31 years. So as a coach, and he played for me for 4 years. So in fact, he was a water boy when he was 7 and 8 years old on my sideline. Wow. So anyway, just visiting with Toby and we're talking about some things, and just kind of in my mind, it was, and talking with my wife, it was just, maybe it is time for me to step away and do some things. And, I think that the things that started to grind on me maybe was some of the off-season stuff. Mm-hmm. Because, when you coach in high school, and I think if you're trying to run a program, and I think with all sports, but particularly football, it's a year-round endeavor. And so you're not coaching a team or you're not coaching football. It's really a way of life. Yeah. And so your whole year is really planned around what goes on with football. And I think some of the off-season started to grind on me. And I will tell you this, not the season, because I love the in-season. I love practice.
You told me, I asked you this, years ago about was there other opportunities? Did you ever think about leaving Bismarck? But I know, and leaving the city. You told me this great story that they were the first one to hire you, that you had some loyalty there. Describe that about this was the place that you ended up settling roots down in.
Well, I was just a young kid coming out of NDSU, and St. Mary's gave me a job. And up until that point, nobody else had. So, yeah, you got to be loyal to somebody that took a chance on me. And so, some of it has to do with, you get comfortable with where you're at and you like where you're at. That was part of it. I love the city of Bismarck. It's a great city. I think it's, and I mean this with love, but I call Bismarck one of the world's largest small towns. Mm. It's got good people, it's got friendly people, it's got helpful people, and just North Dakota people. So maybe I got comfortable there, and I just always enjoyed St. Mary's. I really enjoyed what St. Mary's allowed me to be able to do. And, I won't ever say that we're better than anybody else, but, St. Mary's allowed us to, preach values and to be a Christian Catholic school and include some of the things that some of the other coaches and schools might want to, but it allowed us to do that. And that has been a big part of it. And I think that has helped me.
When was the realization, Dan, that you had something going? What do you remember? Was there a year, a game, like, okay, we've got a momentum to our football program?
Well, I think my goals were very, very, very simple. Is when I started. One obviously I wanted to make St. Mary's the best possible football program it could. But my other goal was when people started to talk about high school football around the state, they mentioned St. Mary's, and so. And then from there, my only other goal was, to try to make sure that our kids were good at football, but along with St. Mary's, to make sure that we made these guys or young men into good young men and to change boys into men. And so I don't know. I just think that over the progress, and, I wasn't ready when I got the job. I wasn't very good, but it's a process. You learn, you get better. But we had some, early in my career, we had some classes, and I think that's what it takes. You have some classes that get committed, and they changed the culture, they changed the attitude, they changed practice. And early on in my career, we had a couple classes like that. That's when I started thinking, yeah, this is going to be fun.
This is a ridiculous question to ask, but of the 8 championships, is there one that stands out more than the other? I have to imagine it's the first.
Well, the first is very exciting.
Yeah.
There was a group of kids that, we had been close. We had been in the championship game. We had been in 3 or 4 semifinal games, but, the 88 team, which was the first state championship, had great kids in it, and I am great friends with that group of kids today, or are there men now? Yeah, there are. I don't know. There's some teams that are very special to me that didn't win a state championship, but I look at it. But 88 was special. All were, I guess. They all were. I think one that was special also was 94. They had to come through the back door to get in. They had to play to get on the board in the old system. So, we went on the road for 4 games and were able to win a state championship. But we were 5-4 regular season. But anyway, they all were. All 8 of them. But and I think that. Even these most recent years, it's been really fun to be part of St. Mary's and kind of rejuvenate the football, because we struggled for, in those mid 2000s, we struggled. So the same coach that everybody is saying is so good, we were 0-9.
I wonder. I'm sure off of that, how many times did you ever hear from, hey, Can you throw the ball? Can you do something a little bit different? We know what's happened. You're going to run it all. How many times did you hear that and just kind of, I can see it in your face now, just kind of smirk and say, nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, all the time. We were true North Dakota football at one time, and we were going to run the ball, and that's what we wanted. And we still wanted to do that, and I think everybody does. But we had to transform. But no, there were times that our quarterbacks would look at me and said, 7 times, that's all we threw the ball. It's the way it was. And that's what I liked. And, I was very fortunate to be close to the NDSU coaches at that time. And, we mirrored them.
Yeah.
And almost everything we could do back in the option days with all the old option coaches. And, Rocky Hagar was a great friend of mine. And so, but anyway, yeah, we ran the ball, and our quarterbacks were usually disgusted. Our receivers thought they were really guards, and so our running backs loved it.
I bet. And your offensive linemen, I bet, loved it too, right?
Yeah. Yep, they did. They did. So, anyway, yeah, it's and it's had to change, and some of it's talent, some of it's the way the game has gone, and I do think that the passing game has made it somewhat more exciting. I think it's also. And I don't know if coaches think about this, but I think it's also made it more exciting for some of the players, and I think it's attracted more players to maybe come out for the game of high school football.
Let me ask you about your great friends and going up against Ron Wiggenbach and Mark Gibson. What do you take from that, of those games playing against Century and Bismarck?
Well, over the years, it's just been a great rivalry. And, of course, the Bismarck's high school and Bismarck St. Mary's rivalry goes way back. Yeah. So, just great rivalries, and with being within the community, great competitors, and I think that when we are playing or we're playing, I think one night a year we dislike each other. The rest of the time we're pretty good friends, and it's the coaching community. It doesn't matter what sport, really, is a good community in the fact that there's so much sharing that goes on, and so. Just in a small town like Bismarck, and we've become very good friends. And, it's funny, Mark Gibson, I coached against him as a player. He had long blonde hair, and he was playing. In fact, in one of our games, Mark Gibson scored the winning touchdown to beat us late in the game.
I did not. Yeah. He's not told me that story. That's first off, the long blonde hair is fantastic. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He tells me that story all the time.
I have to ask, when do you think it will sink in? Will it be like the first day of fall camp, the first Friday night? When will it hit you like, I'm not doing what I've done for the last 45 years?
Like I said, we're going through a lot of emotions right now, but I think that, it'll really strike me when it comes to be the first week of August. You know, I've spent since the 6th grade on a football field for most of the month of August. And so, you know, I think in August, that's, you know, the sweat, the heat, getting kids lined up and getting things started. I think that's when it'll hit me.
I got to tell you, we started televising the Dakota Bowl in 2013. I saw you win 5 of them. I thought that basically every November I was guaranteed I was going to see you at the Dome. So I just want to tell you, it's been a pleasure to cover and to watch. And I really hope you get a chance to just chill out and enjoy whatever you want to do now.
Well, thanks, Tom. And I got to tell you what, I've been very blessed and very fortunate to be around such great kids at St. Mary's and just in North Dakota, great kids playing the game of football. And there isn't a greater game than the game of high school football for kids. You know, I look at it, and what I love about the game is that it doesn't matter your size, your weight, your talent, your speed. There's a place for you on a high school football team, which isn't true in all sports.
Yeah. It's great to see you. Let's do this again soon, all right? I appreciate the time, and congratulations.
Hey, Dom, thank you very much. Appreciate what you do for high school sports and all you've done for St. Mary's and the great coverage you've given us.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good to see you, bud. Thanks again.
Take care. God bless.
There he goes. Dan Smrekar, 45 years as head football coach at Bismarck St. Mary's, and now stepping aside after 8 state championships, 295 wins, just ridiculous stats that go with it. And I think for most high school football coaches, they respect him and know exactly. And he said it. We wanted to make St. Mary's known statewide. I don't think you could go from Larimore to Beach and not know how good St. Mary's is in football. Mission accomplished on that. And I hope he enjoys a Friday night off now going forward. We'll take a break, wrap up hour 1. Got some NFL draft chatter coming up in our second hour, including how Hankinson is getting ready for ESPN and the NFL Network. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns right after this.
On the next Tamron Hall, from comedy to music, they are the big-name talents known for being the top of their game. Now they reveal the new passions they say feed their soul. Yvette Nicole Brown talks about her new show that's so close to her heart. She said it was like the mothership calling her home. Then Grammy Award-winning country music superstar Miranda Lambert brings country to the kitchen with recipes that raised her. And the Office alum Rainn Wilson joins the Tam Fam on the next Tamron Hall.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on WDAY WDAZ.
I'm Tyne Morgan, host of U.S. Farm Report. Join me right here each weekend as we explore the news and issues that matter most to agriculture. We know each year farmers and ranchers are thrown challenges, but as agriculture continues to adapt, we are right there with you. From markets to weather, we take a deep dive into what matters most to agriculture and rural America.
Saturdays at 6 a.m.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. He asked all his therapists to help him undertake some of the house chores. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the supports they need to deliver on the job. For the team
and for the business.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
that we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
There are places, people, and conditions in this world that almost seem beyond hope. But not when Mercy Ships is there. Mercy Ships is a place restoring sight to the blind, normalcy to the deformed, beauty and happiness to the outcast, and joy to the brokenhearted.
And many times you can almost see the life coming back into them. Can't beat that.
Mercy Ships is the largest floating civilian hospital in the world, staffed with some of the most skilled volunteer medical professionals and crew. Mercy Ships is the reason why hope is now in sight for those who need it most. To learn more, go to mercyships.org today.
All right, wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Dan Smrekar for coming on. That was awesome. I always learn something when I visit with him, and today I learned about Mark Gibson's long blonde hair. So I cannot wait till the next time we have Gibby on to ask about that and scoring the game-winning touchdown against St. Mary's. We're going to have to certainly open up that can of worms the next time we have the head football coach of Bismarck join us. But I thought it was an interesting point. I was reading in the Bismarck Tribune yesterday on the announcement of Smrekar stepping down. That's the crux of North Dakota high school football, of those three guys, of Ron Wiggenbach at Century and Gibson at Bismarck and Smeeks at St. Mary's. That is all that a couple of generations probably know as the football coaches there, and that's a large lineage to step away from. And you know, I wasn't just making that up. When I was visiting with a couple of people yesterday that either owe their coaching profession to getting started with Smrekar or some sort of connection there. It's been there throughout, and that's I think you heard it in his voice when he was talking about what he's done for past players, and now that it's some that have gone on and coached right there with him or gone on and found other coaching assignments. That's the really cool part that I think is a neat deal. And I'll be honest, I think too, you mentioned the offseason stuff. I know he was not a fan, nor was anybody at St. Mary's, on them being moved back into the top division. We know that happened before the start of last football season with the point system that had started, that St. Mary's success in the formal, I know I'm just going to call it the old designations, in the formal AA, where they had been, like I said, they won 5 championships in an 8-year span. They played in another title game, 2 other title games in that, and were bumped up now to the top division. Some would argue that's where they belong. I would probably agree with that to this extent. Again, I always go with this. If you have hockey and soccer at your school, you are a top division school. And again, I know folks at Jamestown disagree with that sentiment, but that's where I'm at. If you have those sports, then you're a top division program. That said, I'm sure that was a toll. And it's such a even high school football is different than it was 10 years ago. High school football now is a year-round deal. It really is, especially if you've got a players that are being considered for next level. That's a full year deal now. The attention level on it is full year. If anything happens high school football wise, we're talking about it on this program. We're keeping it in the news. That's the way it works. That's how popular it is. And I'm sure you want an off season. I hear this all the time from Division I coaches, and they'll get no sympathy from me because of the amount of money they make. But it is truly 24/7, 365 days a year, much like an NFL job is, college football coaching, specifically Division I college football coaching is. High school football, we're not to that level, but it's a lot. It's a grind, and do it for that long, I don't blame him for saying, you know what, I'm ready for something different. So congrats to him. We'll take a break. We come back. We'll shift gears and get ready for the NFL Draft, which begins on Thursday. Who's going to be the first FCS guy off the board? Our guy Sam Herder, who covers all of the FCS. We'll try and answer that when we start hour 2 on a Tuesday morning, right after this.
Hi, we are Louie and Becky Thrash. We have lived in our home for about 20 years in Fargo.
From the beginning to the end, Laney's was great to work with on any project in our home.
Our air conditioner went out, and of course it was during the summer. We called Laney's. They scheduled us a date and time.
But great news for us, we got our service done earlier than expected. The 2 technicians were very nice, and the job was done before we knew it.
We would recommend Laney's for any job in your home.
828 is just great. Next ET, only we're backstage with the stars at CinemaCon and the big screen reunion of Denzel and Dakota.
They made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Then, we're in Nashville with new author Miranda Lambert.
What was Brendan's reaction when you were like, honey, I'm coming up with a cookbook?
He laughs. He's like, wait a minute, I do all the cooking and cleaning. How do you have a cookbook?
Wait, what? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's funny.
Next ET.
Weekdays at 6:30 on WDAY WDAZ. When you need to stay informed, turn to the only name that matters, WDAY Storm Tracker.
The melt is on.
Cities are preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. Volunteers are hard at work. You can see people in the background there filling sandbags.
It is very important for people to get out and volunteer.
You can see the flooded ditches in the area.
Now, of course, we're keeping a very close eye on how this rain is going to impact flooding.
For full coverage, turn to the WDAY Storm Tracker team. Join WDAY Sports for NFL Draft coverage. Live from Hankinson, North Dakota. Live interviews with NFL hopefuls and much more as the community prepares for Cody Mauch's future in the NFL. Only on WDAY Extra. Friday at 6:30.
There is a road laid out for me.
Boxes everywhere. And this is going to be Addie's room.
I am blind.
You really don't like it?
I hope so. Yeah.
I know this road is there for me. There is a long way.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
The waist down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
I got this.
I know this road is there for me.
Okay.
If I'm really take me down to the river and wash me.
Do you want to meet a family with a transgender kid? Here we are. Max loves to do backflips. Max loves to play his ukulele. Max loves to just be a kid and just be himself. When I found out I was pregnant, all I really wanted was a happy, healthy, whole child. And that's what I got. I think it's really important for people to know that trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids. Like any parent, we love our kids unconditionally, and we will never stop fighting for them. Stand with us. Protect our families.
Veterans, when you're struggling, soon becomes later, becomes someday, becomes when. Don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Parents, have you registered your child for this year's Fargo Marathon Youth Run yet? Let your children experience the excitement of starting and finishing inside the Fargo Dome, just like the big marathoners do, while encouraging a healthy, active lifestyle for them. The BNSF Railway Youth Run is either a half-mile or a 1-mile distance, so every child can do this. Best of all are the bragging rights when they bring home that finisher medal to you. Every child wins here, so please register them now at fargomarathon.com.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 of Hot Mike on this Tuesday. A reminder, we are going to be live Friday night in Hankinson, North Dakota for a special NFL draft show right here on WDAY Extra. Coverage begins at 6:30 from the Cody Mauch watch party. That is, if there is one, unless he gets picked on Thursday in the first round of the NFL draft. If that happens, we're not going to be there Friday. But if he doesn't, we are going to be live on location Friday night, 6:30, right here on WDAY Extra, which should be a big-time night for the city of Hankinson. I'm actually heading down there after our show wraps today to get the vibe of what's happening pre-drafts, and that'll be a story we'll be sharing on the news coming up tomorrow. I'm really pumped to have our next guest on, because last year he was on our draft special as we just found out that Christian Watson had got selected, which was part of a huge day or weekend for the FCS. Our usual Monday contributor throughout the season, Sam Herder from Hero Sports, who covers everything FCS, is back with us in anticipation of the draft in just a couple of days. It's great to see you. You know that part of the world. I have a sense it's going to be the next few days in Hankinson, that part of southeastern North Dakota, southwestern Minnesota. That's going to be quite the deal over the next few days.
Yeah, it definitely will be. I grew up kind of close to Hankinson and Breckenridge. My brother Tony, he coached and taught in Hankinson for a number of years. He did coach Cody Mauch as well, so there's kind of a small connection there. But when it comes to these small towns, we've seen it in North Dakota. We've seen it in Iowa too, with some northern Iowa guys. When these small towns have guys drafted, it's the talk of the town. The whole community is watching it. It's kind of it's a really special deal.
Well, it's great to have you back on, man, as we get ready for the draft. We were just visiting off air. It was 24 FCS guys got picked in the 2022 draft, including 2 in the first round. Do we have that kind of momentum starting on Thursday to see that many off the board?
I don't think so. 24 was a really high number. That was the most draft picks since 2008. The average is, I think, around 15 draft picks per year. That average went down in 2020 and 2021 with COVID and, no pro days and stuff like that. There was only 6 draft picks each year in 2020, 2021. But there was a huge rebound last year with 24 guys from the FCS. I would probably set the over-under this year at 10.5, which is a little below average. You never know once you get to day 3. A couple of years ago, no one expected Ben DiNucci from James Madison to get drafted, and all of a sudden we hear his name called. And so there's probably 6 guys that I feel confident are going to get drafted from the FCS, and then there's probably 15 other guys that have a decent chance to get drafted, but they could fall out of the draft, as well. You just never know.
Well, last year, no one had Cole Strange from Chattanooga being in the first round, and Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa, we had heard. That was a potential, and obviously he went to the Saints. But when Cole Strange went, I think I texted you that. I'm like, really? No, he wasn't on anybody's board in the first round.
Yeah, and I talked to him a week or two before the draft for a story, and I asked him, what do you hear? And he goes, probably 3rd round, second round, maybe, some teams like me. And all of a sudden he gets called in the first round by the Patriots. And I think I asked him too, what teams have talked to him the most. And he gave me a list of 7 teams, and the Patriots weren't even on, that list. And so again, you never know where guys are going to go. A guy like Hunter Lipke, for example, I've seen 4th round, I've seen 7th round. Yep. You just never really know, which makes this whole weekend pretty fun.
Who is the most intriguing of the Bison guys to you? You've covered them, you've seen them up close. Who stands out to you about the one that's maybe the most intriguing that may get selected?
I think it probably is Lipke, because we know Cody Mauch, he's going to go most likely day 2, possibly first round. Again, you never know, but Lipke I think is interesting because NFL teams do their homework so much, and they have so many months to prep for the NFL draft. Sometimes I feel like the NFL teams overanalyze. And so I think you look at Hunter Lipke and you look at his film, you look at his athletic testing, and everything tells you that he could probably be a 4th round draft pick. But teams might get hung up on the injury a little bit. They might overthink it, and maybe all of a sudden that drops him to the 6th or 7th round. I do think Lipke is going to get drafted. It's just where he goes. It could be early day 3. It could be late day 3.
The crazy part is if he stays healthy and goes to the Senior Bowl, he's probably a day 2 pick. I honestly believe that he's a second or third round guy for what he's able. If he's able to stay on the field, I really believe he would have been able to show off because watching full at Pro Day, he looks 100%. And if that was any close to that, I know he wasn't at the end part of last season. If he's on the field, boy, there's a good chance he's going to be right there with Cody Mauch, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And usually with the NFL draft process, the all-star games are kind of the first stepping stone, quote unquote, for FCS guys. Because we saw it with last year at this time, or not at this time, but last year in January, Troy Anderson, Christian Watson, they were like 6th or 7th round projections. Then they go to the Senior Bowl. Scouts see them go up against Power 5 guys, hold their own, and then some of them all of a sudden they're day 2 guys. And I think that could have been the same with Hunter Lipke if he would have been able to play at the Senior Bowl and show that he was just as good, if not better, than all the Power 5 guys, that he would have really raised his stock. But, unfortunately he had that injury. But I think his ability to do what he did at his pro day was massive for him.
Let's keep it in the Missouri Valley, Sam, with South Dakota State's Tucker Kraft, another guy that dealt with injury, obviously came back and ended up helping the Jackrabbits to their first national championship. What have you seen, and what are you hearing about where Tucker could possibly go?
Yeah, I think day 2, most likely for him, whether that's second round or third round, don't really know. In past years, he maybe could have been a first rounder, but this year's tight end class for the draft is really strong. And so I don't think he'll go day 1, but most likely day 2. He's kind of like Dallas Goedert, obviously is a good comparison, but also even like Troy Anderson, Christian Watson. There are just some FCS guys that people that follow the FCS kind of know, okay, this guy's going to be good in the NFL. He's going to make an impact somehow, some way. I feel that way with Tucker Kraft as well. I think even if he goes third round, he's going to be considered a steal because he just has the physical abilities, the athletic abilities, the tape, the intangibles. I just think he has the total package where wherever he goes, he's going to make an impact right away in the NFL.
Anderson was the 58th overall pick of the second round by the Falcons last year. There were no FCS guys, ironically enough, drafted in the third round, which is kind of crazy. I'm interested in him because I don't know if he's as polished as Goddard was coming out, but as a blocker, I think he may be better than what Dallas was, but I think Dallas was better receiver than Kraft. Does that make sense? They have different skill sets.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And it's hard to, and this could be a good thing too, it's hard to categorize Kraft as a pass-catching tight end or a run-blocking tight end, because I think he's both.
Yes.
I mean, you look at his 2021 season, and he had 70 to 80 catches, somewhere around there, which is a ton for a tight end. And then this last year, he was hurt for good chunks of the season. But even when he was in, he didn't have a ton of catches, but he was still really good in the running game as far as a blocking tight end. And so I think all around, he's really strong. I think he's after the catch, he's really good. He does a really good job of, he catches a lot of balls up the seam, and he's able to keep his feet and, get yards after the catch. And so I think his athletic ability is maybe better than maybe some scouts think. And then once they saw him up close and personal, that, that maybe raised his stock a little bit more. But,
ESPN.
I think overall, he's a really strong prospect.
ESPN's Matt Miller says third round, NFL.com has second round. Dane Brugler from The Athletic and his beast has Kraft in the second round as well. So very well could. Imagine this, if you have the Bison or Jackson's back-to-back picks, it certainly could happen on Friday night. Why it would be fitting if that would be the case. Give us a guy or guys off the board or a sleeper that maybe we don't know, haven't seen a ton of, that you've been following and said these guys are going to get picked, and maybe high.
Yeah, I think Sac State's Marty Mapu. He's a safety, outside linebacker, nickelback, kind of hybrid guy. Kind of some teams will call him a rover. Kind of plays all over the field. Yeah. He wasn't really on. I would say he was on the draft radar in January, but maybe as a late day 3 guy. Now I've seen him, go projected to go possibly in the 4th round. Yeah. And so I think he's a pretty fast riser as well. One guy too, Montana State, Ty Okada, a safety. Another rover type guy, but mostly played safety for the Bobcats. He's another prime example of, if you have a really good pro day, all of a sudden more scouts are going to notice you. They're going to say, okay, who is this guy? You're going to get more eyes on your film. And all of a sudden you go from a guy that I don't even think had a all-star game invite in Ty Okada. Now all of a sudden I've seen some 7th round projections for him. And so he's another guy that maybe we didn't expect to hear his name called, but all of a sudden, late day 3, we do hear Tyler Cotta's name called.
We don't talk Ivy League often, but we will here. Princeton wide receiver Andre Iofaisis, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is moving up the board, and he is a quick guy. He's a track guy, as you and I were visiting off air, and we'll see a little bit of his highlights from this season. He can blaze it down the field. Now, Princeton is what they are, but Jim Nagy went from Fargo to Princeton the next day to hand deliver him his Senior Bowl invite. He was really good in Mobile as well. We're here in early day 3 for this guy.
Yeah, I think, the Ivy League usually has 1 or 2 guys go to the league every year, and a lot of other guys too as undrafted free agents. And Andre is, no doubt, the top guy from the Ivy League. Big receiver, 6'3". He ran track at Princeton. I think he set the school record for, it was like the indoor 60-meter, something like that. I even think he ran like some hurdles. And so just one of those guys, kind of like a Christian Watson, where, obviously a good football player, but once the scouts saw how athletic and fast and explosive he was, he really started to rise. And so I think could potentially be the 3rd guy from the FCS taken behind Mauch and Kraft. Again, could he drop to the 5th round? Possibly. Could he go in the 2nd round? Possibly. All it takes is one team to really like a guy and say, we don't want to take a chance and miss out on this guy. We're going to take him with our 2nd round pick. And so, I think he's a total package receiver that I think could have a pretty good impact in the NFL.
Just reinforces I want to see more Ivy League teams playing other teams. Make it happen. Somebody do this. We just saw what the Princeton basketball team did, Sam. They made it all the way to the Sweet 16. Why can't we get a team in the FCS playoffs? Make it happen.
Yeah, I'll do my best, but I don't know. I don't think Ivy League presidents really care too much about what I have to say. So that's a long shot.
They play every other postseason but football. Just makes me shake my head on that. I know yourself and Mike McFeely have been working on a story. I know I'm visiting with Matt Larson about this. You can check it out at Inforum.com this morning on the likely expansion of the seeding for the FCS playoffs. I know you visited with Eastern Kentucky's athletic director about this. What can you tell us about where things are at, and is it likely going to be implemented for this fall?
Yeah, I had Matt Rohn on my podcast about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer. He is the EKU athletic director, also serves on the playoff committee. And yeah, he mentioned that they've submitted, can't remember, not paperwork, but the idea to the NCAA of seeding teams 1 through 16. Still will be a 24-team bracket. Seeds 1 through 8 will get a bye, and then seeds 9 through 16 will have a guaranteed host game in the first round, which kind of goes away from the bidding process. There will still probably be bids. At the time, again, this was a few weeks ago, Matt said that he felt pretty confident that this was moving forward in a way that they could get this implemented in 2023, this upcoming season. I haven't followed up just yet to see where they're at with that. But the last I checked, the NCAA was still kind of, I guess, crunching the numbers, because that is going to come with a higher cost to the NCAA because there might be less, bus trips. And so, and there's a budget too with the FCS playoffs. They have a certain amount of, money they try to stay in between as far as what the NCAA spends on the FCS playoffs. And so that's the last I heard, that they were somewhat optimistic about it happening for this upcoming season. But I did read Mike's article where we're kind of pushing up against it now for the upcoming season. And so if it doesn't happen in 2023, then at least 2024. And by that time, there'll be the new TV deals, which the NCAA should be making a lot more money with their postseason package. With ESPN or whoever it is. And so I think they will get it implemented. I'm just not sure yet if it will happen by this upcoming season.
I'm hopeful they make this happen for 23 to avoid what happened last year and the belly aching that came from it, which some of it was, I think, legit. Others, I think it took off and got its own deal. But if you truly want to make this a national tournament, which you and I have been pleading for the last few years, every time you come on my show, that this is the way to do it. Actually put the seeds like this, and then if you still need to regionalize like who 9 and 16 would play to go into what, I'm okay with that. But at least let's have it where we're not just giving home games to the teams that give the most money. I think because you've seen some bad environments on Thanksgiving weekend where there's nobody there, but they spent more money and therefore they get it to host a game.
Yeah, obviously the most ideal situation would be seeding 1 through 24.
Correct.
But again, the cost of doing that would go up a lot by the NCAA. And so seeding 1 through 16 at least gets rid of some of the regionalization. You could still, regionalize it a little bit where the 9th seed is playing, a team that's somewhat close to them. But yeah, there have been, examples in the past where, maybe the second best Big Sky team is playing the third best Valley team in the first round. Meanwhile, the Patriot League champ is playing the NEC champ in the first round, where you have the 9th best team playing the 11th best team in the first round, and then the 22nd and the 23rd best teams playing in the first round. And so it just makes it much more of a national feel. There still might be, a minimum bid process as far as, hey, if you want to host in the first round, you have to pay $30K, whatever the case may be. Hopefully, idealistic, hopefully the bidding process goes away entirely somehow, some way, and hopefully teams can keep a chunk of their ticket revenue to at least try to make money if you go on a long playoff run, but that might be idealistic. But this is at least a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Have you come up with a good nickname or an acronym for the new combined WAC and ASUN? Is it United Athletic Conference? Is that what they're going with?
It's United something. I already forgot what it is. It's United Athletic Conference, I think. I don't know. I get the United part. I wish they would have put football in there.
Somewhere, right?
Somewhere. But yeah, the other one too is the Big South OVC. They're also.
Yeah, what are they doing?
I don't know if that's a little. I don't know. That might be a little different than what the ASUN and the WAC are doing, because the ASUN and WAC are forming like a legit football-only conference. I don't know if that's what the Big South OVC are doing, but they are combining for at least this year and probably next year and foreseeable future as far as getting one a little bit between those two conferences.
It is the United Athletic Conference. It is UAC. They need something better than that. That's not going to work.
Yeah, that's what they're going with. And talking with Matt Rowan too, I asked about their FBS goals, and he kind of pushed back a little bit as far as saying, well, our top focus is on becoming an FCS conference, which it seems like they're going to accomplish. And I think when that ESPN story came out the day of the semifinals that said, the ASUN WAC want to be playing FBS in 2024, I think whoever that source was maybe came out a little bit strong. And then a lot of other people in the conference have kind of been not totally pushing back and saying, no, we don't want to do that, but more about, well, we would like to, but we're that's not really our top priority right now, because that's going to be a long road to accomplish.
Well, yeah, we're in April of 23. If they want to do that, they better start bucking up here pretty quick, because the time is clicking. It's great to see you, man. Thanks so much for the insight. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk again soon, okay?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you once again.
Good to see you, bud. There you go. Sam Herder from Hero Sports. You can check out all of his stuff at herosports.com. All really good stuff on leading up to the NFL draft, and, of course, on everything FCS. And that'll be certainly a topic. Much like the changing of the clock for college football for this upcoming season, the playoff deal is a really interesting topic, and I'm hopeful we'll get some more time on this maybe next week when we get a little bit removed from the draft deal of actually how this would go about, because I think for Bison fans that have gotten sick of seeing, well, we know we're going to get a Valley team likely in the second round of the FCS playoffs, this may alleviate that. Hopefully, we're not going to get rid of regionalization totally, but it may curb it a little bit. It's maybe the best way to describe it. Let's break. We come back. We got comments from John Lynch of the 49ers, not necessarily saying they're not going to trade Trey Lance. We'll let you decipher that for yourselves. We come back on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com.
Grab a fork and dive into noodles. Rach kicks off the hour with a perfect pasta platter.
Wow, is that pretty?
Then, Christopher Kimball's fried fettuccine. Now that's using your noodle.
It's beautiful.
Plus,
a great one-piece swimsuit can also double as a bodysuit.
Get more out of your wardrobe with simple, stylish tricks.
I just learned like 8,000 things at once.
Next, Rachel.
Weekdays at 3 on WDAY WDAZ.
Come on, babe, let's go outside and take the boat out for a ride. I'm ready, I don't want to wait. Get on board. Got the sunshine and the short line. It's the good life. Get on board, get on board. Get on board.
My son had a full-blown asthma attack.
It came out of nowhere.
The unsettling thing about some symptoms is you don't always know what's causing them.
He had a reaction triggered by cockroach allergens.
Threats to your health can come from unexpected places. Get the facts. Visit pestworld.org.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
The end of hunger and poverty starts here. Your gift of an animal from Heifer International can help a family with food and income, all while caring for the earth. Heifer International. Learn more at heifer.org.
For children fighting critical illness, it can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Help us make every wish come true.
I'm Naheem Hines. I support the Muscular Dystrophy Association because they help my mom and kids like Ethan.
Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before.
Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
Federal investigators blame human error for a deadly natural gas explosion.
We all remember where we were that morning.
We could actually see the smoke from our farm here, which is close to 20 miles away.
I started to pull right off the bat. Both tractors just kind of started to spin out, and those are big tractors. So I knew something wasn't right. Out of nowhere, I just heard a big boom. The tile plow ruptured into the pipeline. Once the gas got through the intakes of the tractors is when it ignited. As soon as I heard that boom, I started running as fast as I could. The ground literally started erupting from my feet.
They were highly respected and they were good at what they did. It was one of those accidents that, when it was done, made people step back and pause. If an accident can happen to them, it can happen to anyone.
Watch the rest of the story at 3secondslater.org. And remember, Farm Safe starts by contacting 811.
Here it is. Look how cheap it is.
Go for it, Steph.
Be careful what you buy online.
It's finally here.
Counterfeit products are illegal. They are fake and can be damaging to you, your property, and your wallet.
Go, 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 go!
It looks real, but I don't have a good feeling about this.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! No, get out!
Go!
Buying fake products can cost you the health of your face, skin, and eyes, or scar you for life. Real products are tested for safety. Buy the brand. Protect yourself. This message is brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council and the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
You're smart. Buy smart.
Go for real.
Go for real.
Go for real.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Jason Monilaws, Hankinson, head football coach, coming up here in about 10 minutes to give us the scene down there 2 days out in front of the NFL draft. Speaking of which, this is the time when all NFL teams have their coaches and general managers assemble in front of that particular team's media and lie to them and or don't tell them anything. That was the case yesterday in San Francisco, where 49ers general manager John Lynch was meeting with the media. For those that have not been following the story or want a refresher, story came out last week that there has been some teams fielding or sending calls. The 49ers have been fielding calls for former Bison quarterback Trey Lance, number 3 overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft. We actually had a chance to visit with Trey. Logan Campbell asked Trey on where things were at. Said he doesn't know, doesn't comment on that, just trying to get ready for the season. Said he is fully healthy there. John Lynch was asked yesterday on a couple of topics, specifically on where Trey's future is and what that holds. Let's listen to this. I want you to decipher what John Lynch had to say. This is yesterday at the 49ers press conference.
What's been your level of transparency with Trey as far as what's transpired, as far as teams reaching out to you? What have you told him, and where does it stand?
Yeah, so, generally, Matt, our policy, my policy, if we're actively trying to trade a player, not trying to, or if we're having discussions, for instance, last year with Mike McGlinchey, it became apparent that a year away from that, it was going to be tough to re-sign with Trent Williams in the building and the reality of our roster. I brought Mike McGlinchey up and said, hey, Mike, I never, from being a player myself, I never want you to hear from anyone else that you're being shopped. So I'm telling you, we are going to talk to some teams. If we're fielding inbound calls, I think I'd be doing that every single day if I'm telling every single player. I do think with the sensitivity of Trey's position, maybe a little different. So Trey and I have talked, and we're on the same page, and Trey knows exactly where the situation is. His mindset is all about competing, and I think that's exactly where his mindset should be. We're excited about the position he's put himself in with the work he's done this offseason to, number one, get healthy, number two, improve upon some things that he really wanted to improve upon. And, we don't get to watch all of his workouts. I've got a good view, and he's definitely excited, and I think he has reason to be. And, so, yes, there has been good communication, and we're excited about Trey's ability to go compete for a job.
Can you characterize the calls that you get about him? Are there offers made, or is it just kind of feeling you guys out?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of smoke, really. It hasn't been extremely active, and it's not like we've put it out there that, hey, we're taking offers for Trey, call 1-800, that's not been the process. People's job in this is to ask questions. Has that happened on a couple occasions? Sure, but hasn't been that substantive. And like I said, we're focused, as is Trey, on his ability to compete and play an integral role on this team. Last year, we needed 5, and so we value every single one of those guys, and we're excited about our group.
So translation from what John Lynch is saying is, make us a better offer. That's what he's saying there. And are the 49ers going to hold out like they did with Garoppolo, looking for a great deal, and then miss out? Then obviously they needed him, as you heard Lynch say, when Lance got hurt. Or are they going to bite the bullet and say, you know what? We messed up on this. We found our guy with the very last pick of the draft, and we are not above our pride to package a deal and send this guy somewhere else. And again, you can look at it from both angles here. You can look at it from the one that say he needs a fresh start, that the 49ers have found their guy. They clearly gelled with Purdy under center, and it's time that Trey goes to somewhere else where he can, again, he's 24 years old, and go and do what he can. Or you can look at it the other side, which is, wait a minute, Kyle Shanahan, one of the NFL quarterback gurus, believed in him. Lynch and Shanahan were here multiple times. They came to Fargo at least 3 times to work out, talk to Lance, talk to the Bison staff about him, that they believed in him more than anything. They believed so much to give up 3 first-round picks to move up to the 3rd overall selection that now, in 2 short years, they have soured on him to the point where they don't think this can work. Because, again, I'll reiterate, they also signed Sam Darnold. Because I believe the pecking order is going to be Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Trey Lance right now. I think that's in their heart of hearts. You don't have to actually listen to when the teams are saying, look what they do. The 49ers went out there, and I know they needed every quarterback imaginable. Purdy, right now, according to what Lynch said, is on schedule, hitting all the checkpoints from his elbow surgery that he had after the NFC Championship game. And Lynch said there's a lot of smoke. There's nothing real substantive there. It hasn't been extremely active. I think it's because they haven't got an offer to their liking yet. So that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. Doesn't mean it will happen. But I'm still of the mindset I don't believe he's a member of the 49ers in 2023. That's my gut telling me that. We'll take a break. We come back. We'll head down to Hankinson, North Dakota, and how the city is prepping for its time in the national spotlight, because it's coming one way or the other, depending if it's Thursday or Friday. We'll discuss that with Jason Monilaws, head coach of the Hankinson head football team. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns right after this.
The Dragons Digital Network is here to bring you live coverage of all MSUM Dragons home events everywhere you want to watch. DDN combines all streaming options of the MSUM Dragons, NSIC Network, WDAY, and Inforum. All the games, all live on social media, smart TV apps, mobile apps, websites, and more. So however you like to watch, the Dragons are there on the Dragons Digital Network.
Stay prepared for the days and nights ahead with the best weather team. Download the Storm Tracker app, powered by Laney's. Get alerts and updates straight from the WDAY Storm Tracker team with accurate weather reports specific to your area. Just search WDAY in the Apple or Google Play Store. Download the Storm Tracker app and be ready to plan your day. The Storm Tracker app, powered by Laney's. Download it today.
On the next Cameron Hall, from comedy to music, they are the big-name talents known for being the top of their game. Now they reveal the new passions they say feed their soul. Yvette Nicole Brown talks about her new show that's so close to her heart. She said it was like the mothership calling her home. Then Grammy Award-winning country music superstar Miranda Lambert brings country to the kitchen with recipes that raised her. And The Office alum Rainn Wilson joins the TAM fam on the next Cameron Hall.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on WDAY WDAZ.
Autism is a common but such a heterogeneous, such a complex condition that describes many different individuals with different types of symptoms and different types of challenges. As a physician, I had so many questions, and unfortunately, when patients would come to me, I couldn't really give them a lot of answers. As a geneticist as well, I started to appreciate that at least for some individuals with autism, there was an underlying genetic basis, and that we could really start to understand in a much more precise way what was going on for them by understanding the genes, how it affects the brain, how it affects behavior, and how it affects other parts of the body as well. When we think about how many people we need to answer the hundreds of questions that we all have about autism, we start to need tens of thousands of individuals that have the same types of symptoms to be able to answer those questions. Join us today. Go to sparkforautism.org.
I've been doing this for a long time. Somebody has to stand up for victims.
Detective Stabler, my partner, Detective Benson.
The world is changing. It took a lot of courage to get up on that stand. There's no stigma in coming forward. Please help me stop him.
He's not gonna ever be able to hurt you again.
I promise you,
I'll protect you.
I'm not gonna stop until we find this guy.
Weekdays at 12 p.m.
If alcohol builds a wall around you that doesn't let you see where you're going, that keeps you feeling isolated and alone, that makes you feel hopeless, know this. We're here to help if you want us to. It's never too early or too late to ask for help with a drinking problem. Alcoholics Anonymous. There is a way out. For more information, visit aa.org and download the Meeting Guide app.
Welcome back, everybody, on a beautiful Tuesday morning. Hot Mike rolls on WDAY Extra, Inforum.com. Mentioned we're 2 days out from the NFL draft beginning in Kansas City. The first round on Thursday, rounds 2 and 3 on Friday, and 4 through 7 on Saturday. And for the second year in a row, a North Dakota 9-man town is going to get its name in the spotlight. Last year was Balfour, North Dakota, with Cordell Volson was selected in the 4th round. Now it's Hankinson, North Dakota, that's going to get some time to shine with Cody Mauch going to be drafted. When? We don't know. Where? We don't know. And that adds in all the intrigue of what's going to happen later on this week. It's a pleasure to welcome back to our show Hankinson head football coach Jason Monilaws joins us. I'm just glad he answered my call. He's a big timer now. He's got the NFL on speed dial, so I appreciate you didn't big time me and come on the show today.
Dom, I enjoy visiting with you anytime, and you know that, and especially when I can talk about one of our own down here.
So now but now you can have some actual bragging rights depending on where he gets picked. You guys in Oaks can have a little head to head here depending on where he gets picked on this week, right?
True. Funny thing, I was thinking about when you come into Oaks from the south and the highway, and I'm sure from the north. I don't usually come in that way when we go over there, and they have that big Phil Hansen sign. Right? So then I'm coming back from the track meet yesterday, and I'm picturing this in my mind. I said, well, where are we going to put this sign when we come into Hankinson from the different directions for Tud?
The first thing I thought of, man, this morning when I was going to have you on, I'm like, I know Oaks has got a pretty big one down there. You got to have one, so
ours might have to be a little bigger.
Tell me about I haven't had you on since down in November when obviously we had the big day for him. This lead up now it's real. It's here. It's draft week. What is it like in school?
Actually, let's step back. It kind of started setting in last week.
Yeah.
At least for me, that's when I was starting to get contacted by some national media about different things that they were seeking, and it started jump started with our principal, and she said, well, I don't really think I'm the right person for this, so it bumped up to me, and so it started to, at least for me, and I think you can look at the community, the school too. Everybody's anticipating this week, and now we're here. We formed a little committee here in the school, basically the same committee that put together the celebration we had for Tud back in November. And we didn't want to have a big assembly or anything like that, simply because we felt we didn't need to take the learning time away. With the way this winter's been, I think we've got 13 virtual learning days.
Man.
And so we decided not to have something like that, but maybe more with just kind of jarring up the spirit here, getting everybody behind what's about to happen in Hankinson and in our school, and with one of our own. And so we started brainstorming ideas here and there what we're going to do, and then we just kind of went from there.
You told me off air that the kids are even doing a mock draft today in school.
Yeah. And you know how many times? Let's see. Since I can't even imagine when it started. Late fall. Who do you think's going to draft Todd? Who do you think? And my response has always been, well, I'm just going by with the clubs that have contacted me.
Yep.
Okay. Not all 32, not all of them, just the ones that have contacted me. And so that was something we threw out right away with our little committee. Is like, well, why don't we have a draft? See what the kids in the school think. And so we put that out today, and the classes have been voting, and then someone they're going to tally it up down in the office and find out what club the majority in the school thinks will draft.
What's your gut on that? Who's going to win that? The Vikings or somebody else?
I think the Vikings are probably the number one choice. Yes, that's my gut tells me.
So you mentioned you've been in contact. Describe, what are they asking you, Jason? What are the clubs been asking you about them?
The gentlemen I've talked to, they're investigators for each club must have a part within their process of going through and evaluating these athletes as they come out of college. And it's basically background check questions and so forth. And a lot of them are retired police detectives.
Wow.
So and they ask you different questions, and there's some things I can't answer because I don't know. And he said, well, that's okay. We'll find out anyway, which I'm sure
they will.
There's connections within the police departments and so forth. But it's a lot of that, how do you think he would handle living in this kind of a setting, this city? You know, what was he like in school? I mean, his grades, you know, his schoolwork. How did he, you know, work during practice? His work ethic, and some stuff about the family and siblings and things like that. And it, to be honest, it was a really good process.
Interesting.
I felt like I was being interrogated, but in the other part of that though, I felt like I was telling a story about a kid that I care for dearly.
Yeah, that's interesting. And again, it illuminates how thorough the NFL is with this stuff. I don't think people understand that.
Right. You know, does Cody have a girlfriend? Does, you know, just think of a question that you would want to ask someone in an interview and about their character, and that's what they did.
I have to ask, just seeing this back home of when he goes to Mobile and has the kind of week he had at the Senior Bowl, and then at the Combine, Jason, where he's the TV star in Indianapolis. What was that like for you and back at Hankinson of seeing those two major events and him be, you know, front and center for them?
Okay, well, number one, I've never watched the Senior Bowl before. Number two, I've never watched the Combine. I haven't. I'm like, well, it is what it is.
Right.
You know, and we've never had a athlete from Hankinson in the Senior Bowl. And for me, like, I cleared my calendar. You know, I'm not doing anything when the Senior Bowl's on, and I'm not doing anything when Todd's in the Combine.
Yep.
And so I was glued to the TV, and my wife watched the Combine with me. She didn't watch all the game with me, but I was pretty proud of what Todd did, especially in that game. You know, for what he had to do to play all those positions, and you can credit NDSU for this too, Dom, because you know, when Todd went up there, one of the things they had him do in practice was snap the ball.
Yeah,
got him set up to play that position. So that's his work ethic though too. Where he thinks he can maybe find a little edge, he's going to work at it.
To see, by the way, the flowing red hair running during the 40-yard dash. What came to mind when you saw that?
You ever watched the Viking show that's on streaming? I mean, put a helmet on, a shield, and a sword, and let him go. Going to battle is what it looked like.
Oh man!
Like, I'm first one there, and I'm going to destroy whatever's in front of me.
Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network during the Senior Bowl, I think, had the nickname "Toothless and Ruthless." Yeah,
I picked that up right away, and I think I tweeted that out. I'm pretty sure I did. I mean, yeah, he's like this Norse god that's going to come and destroy whatever's in front of him.
I had the pleasure of going down in November to see the school come together and the community, frankly, that came out in November before the end of the regular season. What do you anticipate for later this week? I mean, we know there's going to be a draft party. His dad was telling me in November that he already had the community center booked, and now they're going to need it.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. It's going to bring this community and the surrounding communities together. We're going to have people from far distances coming into this thing. It's going to be a great night for Cody. I mean, Todd's going to be drafted.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if it's fully sank into me in the community, but when we hear his name and what team he's going to go, that place is going to go bonkers. I mean, it's going to be just insane in there. And there won't be any seating. It's going to be standing room only. I can guarantee you that. This thing's going to be huge.
Have you mentally prepared for that? Of whatever team it is, what do you think is going to go through your mind when you hear his name?
Well, look at it this way. I'm going to be incredibly excited. Now, if he goes to the Packers, I'm going to have a little bit of a resentment, but this is my hopes, Dom, for where he gets drafted. You know, there's certain teams that we could drive to like within a day's drive.
Yep.
Obviously, the Vikings would be ideal, but you got the Packers. I mean, realistically, you could make it down to Chicago. You can make it down to Kansas City. You know, you can make it out to Denver in 12 hours. So I'm jealous. I'd like to have them a little bit closer to home so that if we could find the time and go down there and actually watch them play live.
To join the fraternity that is you coached an NFL player, what does that mean to you?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I was at Carter, his brother. I have a little social at my house sometimes after games and this and that. And he came over one night and he just kept telling me, "Hey, Money, you're going to have a player in the NFL." And I don't know. My emotions are everywhere with it. And I don't really know how I'm going to react. Honestly, I think I'm probably going to cry when I hear his name drafted. I get pretty emotional about things like that.
Rightfully so, my man, because it's a huge deal. And like I said on the news, Hankinson and Devil's Lake is going to do this whenever what happens with Grant Nelson.
Yeah.
This is two major things happening in this state, and I don't know if people fully appreciate what the storm that's about to hit. This is going to be a huge deal.
It is. It's going to be historical in a way.
Yes. Yep.
In the fact that they're both coming out of NDSU too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what NDSU has built and maintains with their athletics up there, and I'm not talking just football and basketball. I mean, geez, you look at the fast pitch team, the wrestling, all these things, the track. I mean, what they do in track and field, they've got a brand. They're to a point now where they don't have to hardly recruit too hard to get these kids to want to come up here. They have to work harder to keep them.
Yeah.
More than anything. And you got to give credit to what the administration up there has done, the president that they've done, what the AD has done, the coaches, what they have done with the turnover that goes through with the coaching staffs, and to keep doing what they're doing is just phenomenal. And this is the part that I want to stress. They're doing this with North Dakota kids.
Yeah.
They're not banking on all these kids coming from Florida or Texas or California, Oklahoma. They're a lot of the foundation of their programs are North Dakota kids.
Yep. That's the cool part to me. Before we go,
absolutely,
I got to ask you. We had Dan Smrekar on the show. I know you're in two different classes, but I mean, he's the dean of high school football coaches. What did he mean to high school football coaches in this state?
Well, you could say he's kind of the godfather.
Yeah.
You know, the other person I think of that, at least in my time, would have been Dan Imdick. You know, he was another one. But I had the pleasure of coaching a Shrine game bowl here a few years back, and Dan was up there, and that's how I met him. And he's just a pretty humble, down-to-earth guy, and it's pretty fun to hang out with in a social setting. And you know, we'll bump into each other at conventions here and there and have a little handshake and say hi. He's going to be missed across the state. I'm sure there's coaches who are glad he's leaving, though. You know, I mean, I wasn't upset when Dan left, because I actually got to coach with him too in his last football game at the Shrine. And I was glad he retired, but that's just because competing against him was a bugger.
So tough, no doubt. It's great to see you, man. I'm super excited to be down there later today and later this week. It's going to be a huge deal. Thanks so much for the time, and I'll see you later this week, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Jason. There he goes. Jason Monilaws, Hankinson head football coach. He coached Cody Mauch in high school and about to enter into a new world, which is going to happen later this week. We are due for a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap the show. Get you ready for a busy Sports Tuesday. We get the Minnesota trifecta tonight. We'll tell you all about it when we come back after this.
A nice reception.
Next, live with Kelly and Mark, Amanda Peet and Lizzie Kaplan from Fatal Attraction.
I'm not going to be ignored, Dad.
Plus, Judy Bloom and Spring Has Sprung Week.
We found out we have young friends. When you get invited out by your young friends.
Well, I'm not sure if I would call them friends.
They're our kids.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on WDAY, WDAZ.
If you can't work because of your health, what you're going through is hard. Paying bills, seeing your doctor, and fighting a denial of Social Security disability benefits is even harder. But calling us is easy.
At the Schneider Law Firm, our job is to help you get the disability insurance benefits you've paid for. From disability to workers' comp and personal injury, for us, it's about results for you.
Call 877-740-2525, the Schneider Law Firm.
What is dementia? Is it the same as Alzheimer's? What is vascular dementia, Lewy body, FTD, TBI, and CTE? If someone has memory loss, does that mean they have dementia? Millions of Americans ask these questions every day. I did too, and I learned. My wife Ginny developed dementia. I didn't know what to do or what was coming next. I'm Kevin Jameson, volunteer and president of the Dementia Society of America. I'm excited to offer you a free guide to understanding dementia. It's filled with facts about dementia, care planning, how doctors can help, and ways to keep your brain as healthy as possible. The Dementia Society of America is a national nonprofit, and we're ready to answer your questions. You want to live life to the fullest. I know that. Ginny did too, and I'm confident that we can help. Get your copy of the guide. Go to 1-800-DEMENTIA.org or call 1-800-DEMENTIA. Thank you.
I want to beat cancer. I'm going to beat it. That's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to win this battle.
Defeating cancer will take all of us. Join our team to help fund game-changing research that saves lives. At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over the odds. V is for victory over health disparities, victory over setbacks, victory over the unknown. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Join our team to help save lives.
Cancer can take away all my physical abilities. It cannot touch my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul.
Join our team in the fight against cancer at V.org.
Hi, I'm Mark Knutson, the director of the Essentia Health Fargo Marathon, and I'm looking for 3,000 plus people to register for this year's Friday Night 5K presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Dakota and Noridian Healthcare Solutions. The 5K is only 3.1 miles. You can walk, run, or push the kids in a stroller. From 2 years old to 92 years old, this is something that everyone can be part of. So grab your friends, your family members, or your coworkers and register today at fargomarathon.com.
Wrapping up our show. Good one here today. Tomorrow, where Patrick Bramer will join us. Tomorrow, we'll also get the inside perspective. Will Levis is blowing up the draft boards. Kentucky quarterback. He actually faced an FCS team in Youngstown State. Youngstown got to him a little bit, too. We'll get that perspective coming up on the show tomorrow as we count down to the NFL draft. That's coming up tomorrow on the big show. All right, let's get you ready for what to watch. It's the Minnesota trifecta of things happening tonight. We got Twins and Yankees, 6:30 tonight. That's on Bally Sports North Plus. For you viewers on Midco, you can watch the game on Midco tonight. It's on DirecTV and your other places to watch the game. Wild and the Stars, 7 o'clock, Game 5. TBS tonight. Series tied at 2 games apiece. Winner will obviously have a chance to clinch the series back in St. Paul on Friday. And it's Game 5 for the Timberwolves and the Nuggets tonight, 8 o'clock on NBA TV. Minnesota down 3-1. Can they extend this series another day and get it to a Game 6 back in the Twin Cities? Thanks to our guest today, to Dan Smrekar for joining us, along with Sam Herder, and to Jason Monilaws. If you missed any of our program, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. Everybody have a great Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com.
The Dragons Digital Network is here to bring you live coverage of all MSUM Dragons home events everywhere you want to watch. DDN combines all streaming options of the MSUM Dragons, NSIC Network, WDAY, and in-forum. All the games, all live on social media, smart TV apps, mobile apps, websites, and more. So however you like to watch, the Dragons are there on the Dragons Digital Network.
On the next Cameron Hall, from comedy to music, they are the big-name talents known for being the top of their game. Now they reveal the new passions they say feed their soul. Yvette Nicole Brown talks about her new show that's so close to her heart. She said it was like the mothership calling her home. Then Grammy Award-winning country music superstar Miranda Lambert brings country to the kitchen with recipes that raised her. And The Office alum Rainn Wilson joins the TAM fam on the next Cameron Hall.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on WDAY, WDAZ. Join WDAY Sports for NFL draft coverage. Live from Hankinson, North Dakota. Live interviews with NFL hopefuls and much more as the community prepares for Cody Mauch's future in the NFL. Only on WDAY Extra. Friday at 6:30.
I've been a GH fan my entire life.
I love the TAM fam.
I still think about the time I was at Port Charles.
I don't believe it. But you can believe our shows are on back-to-back.
GH fans and the TAM fam love a good story.
Weekdays at 1 p.m. and 2 p.m.
You got lots of money over here.
I want to go for it. So do I. Let's do it.
You bet your life.
Give me the money. More money. $5,000.
Boosting the economy.
You seriously asking me this question, Jay? Coney Island. What are we doing over here?
Every weekday.
Yeah, give me that money. Oh, yeah. I'm going to give it to you like an Italian uncle. Here you go. You get yourself a little something there. There you go, right there.
Weekdays at 3:30 p.m.
Happy Tuesday. Live look outside in downtown Fargo in blue skies, and once again this morning we have a few of those cumulus clouds starting to appear. They'll become more numerous as the show goes on and as the afternoon continues to go on throughout this Tuesday. A sunny, nice day for most of us though. A few of those fair weather cumulus clouds, but really it's going to turn out to be a nice day. We do have rainy days ahead. Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday all bring a chance of at least a few showers. We'll track that in Futurecast. And then a warm-up, 50s, 60s on the 10-day forecast. We'll talk about it coming up on WDAY News.